Whenever thinking isn't called for, decline to think. Instead, attend, stay conscious, not in the world of thought, but tuned into what's real, here, now. Neglect everything else, but not this. Be constantly aware of what awareness is doing. Keep attention on the looker, not on the looked at. Note any tendency to believe a thought, any thought at all. To think that thinking can lead someplace real. Resist nothing, either inside or out, and turn towards, never away from. If you're conscious of being in resistance, realize there's something you want more than to wake up. When you notice yourself caught in a thought or emotion, do nothing with it. Just step outside and look at its happening. Don't indulge. Just walk beyond it. Turn around and look back. There is a place beyond it. It's a perspective thing. There's no end of places to stand, to look from. And if emotion overtakes you and you can't step outside it, surrender to it for a bit, completely, then try again. Avert your eyes from nothing on your interior. Don't hide from yourself. See and feel what's there. Don't be afraid of yourself. Note any impulse to protect yourself from self-knowledge. If there's a part of your mind-made self that you secretly know you're keeping going by avoiding looking, either take a deep breath and look directly at it, or be truthful with yourself that waking up isn't for you. Don't tell yourself there's some other option. Decline to judge self. If you can't observe yourself without judging, go back to square one. Learn how to do that. Then come back here. Here we'll wait for you. Be attuned to even the most subtle degree of suffering and ask, who is it that is suffering? Never tire of asking this. Either you can simply suffer, or you can ask, who's doing it? The first choice will keep the suffering going on forever. The second one gets you looking from another angle. Do nothing whatsoever to keep time alive. Tune into moments when you do so. Hope, regret, rehash, intend, expect, and ask, who's doing this? And what does it get me when I do it? Note the tendency of the mind to believe that the past matters, or that the future is real. Of course you'll do things like schedule appointments. You don't have to be too literal. We're looking at how the self keeps itself alive, and how the present is avoided. So give up the idea of being on a journey. This is it. This now is it. Note the tendency to hold on to any moment before this. Stop. Drop it. Now is here. When you feel something mattering, ask, who does this matter to? Step outside the thing, the mattering, and look at it. Just look. Remember to wonder, who is looking? None of it matters to the one who's looking. Don't get stuck in anything. Spiritual practice, perspective, ideas, including ideas about self and awakening, plans, longing, fear, identity. Cease to believe in anything. Note the desire to want to be able to count on something, anything. None of it's real, any place besides your head. And don't be spiritual. It doesn't work that way. It's a good way to put your fingers in a perpetual cramp. Change doesn't happen by approximation, by cultivating qualities of what might look like the desired condition. Change doesn't come by trying to change yourself. It comes when you're willing to see where you actually are, however unspiritual that may be. If you must be spiritual, do it until you see it isn't getting you anywhere. Then, come back here. Or if you like it there, admit it's where you want to be and give this up. Does regular life feel like a problem to you? Like it's in conflict with the spiritual life? Exactly where do you think the present moment is to be found? Do you think of your spiritual life as being off to one side? An occasional focus of attention? Is your regular life a thing that gets in the way of your spiritual life? If each were painted on a piece of glass and you put one on top of the other, do they line up exactly? Do you think if you wake up, you'll have spiritual times and regular times? If you can see the absurdity here, let this be a clue to you, where you are now, in your orientation to regular life. The means and the end aren't different. The way to wake up is to be awake. If you separate the spiritual from the ordinary life, extracting things to do with conscious presence and dropping them into their own little beautiful category, you're forcing an artificial distinction where there simply isn't one. The distinction exists in your mind. It doesn't exist in the real world. The love of spirituality brings about an inebriation guaranteed to keep you drowsy. Awakeness is sober. It moves toward life, not away from it. It isn't looking for escapes. It doesn't slip into heightened states to get away from difficulty. So you shouldn't either, while you're trying to be more awake than asleep. If you see the life of the Spirit and the life of the good old earth as being anything but two different ways of saying the same thing, then think again. That's a big part of your problem, if you wonder why you're not awake. So begin with this and end with this. The present moment is it. It's all there is. It will never be otherwise.